And joining us now for more on this story, CBS News senior national security contributor, formerly the #2 man at the CIA, Michael Morell, plus CBS News Homeland Security correspondent Bob Orr, and our CBS News national security correspondent David Martin. Mike, I'm going to go to you with the same question I had for the Secretary. What else do we need to know here? It seems pretty clear that Russia was deeply involved in this, and if they were, what do we do now?
Bob, there are different levels of Russian responsibility here. One is the fact that they created these separatists, they encouraged them, they funded them, they've equipped them. That's a level of responsibility all by itself. That's already established. We're there. There's a second level of responsibility in terms of, did they give this particular weapon system to the separatists? The evidence on that sounds to be mounting. The Ukrainians are now claiming it. The Secretary all but said it a few minutes ago. I think we're there too. And then the third level of responsibility is, were Russian special forces on site? Did they assist in the firing? That we won't know. I don't think we're going to learn the answers to those questions from a forensic investigation of the crash site. We're only going to learn those answers from intelligence. But it does seem that there is significant Russian complicity here to me. So that means the first step is to Mr. Putin. What does he do? And he really has two choices here. He can come out and take some responsibility for this, just as the Soviet Union did in the shoot-down of the South Korean airliner in 1983, and really pull the separatists back and really bring peace to eastern Ukraine. I don't think he'll do that, though. I think he's going to continue to deny. That means that it's going to have to come back to us in terms of what we do. And there's really two choices, I think. One is to ramp up the sanctions significantly. They've been very modest to date, ramping them up significantly and providing much more assistance to the Ukrainian government. I think those are the two options.
Bob Orr, you just heard Mike say he thinks it's going to be, the answers here are going to come from an intelligence investigation, not a crime scene investigation, as it were. Is it possible, now that they're hauling off these black boxes, the bodies and so forth are being moved? Obviously they had to be moved just for health reasons. What are we going to find out here on that?
Not much. I agree with Mike. This is going to be intelligence driven. What the crash scene can do for us is can validate the intelligence finding. If we get access, independent, verifiable access to the wreckage, you can look for telltale signs of like pitting and high explosive residue on the plane skin. You can look for the way the metal has buckled. Those things would confirm a missile strike, which we already know happened. The other thing is, much has been made about the black boxes. The rebels have paraded them through the field now. Apparently they're in Donetsk, and maybe they're en route to ICAO. That's the International Treaty Organization. But the fact of the matter is, the black boxes can do very little here other than to confirm it was a normal flight, and then we had a sudden cessation of data consistent with a high altitude explosion, Bob.
So David, what about this circumstantial evidence?
Well, the separatists could have gotten these SA-11 surface-to-air missiles from two places. One, they could have captured them from the Ukrainian military when they were seizing Ukrainian military bases, or they could have gotten them from the Russians. U.S. intelligence believes it can account for all of the SA-11s belonging to the Ukrainian military. So that leaves Russia. And now there is evidence that the SA-11s have actually been seen moving across the border from the separatist-held area of Ukraine into Russia. It adds up to a circumstantial case, but a circumstantial case.
So what's next?
So what's next is, what does Vladimir Putin do? I think the fact that he has disappeared for the last several days is interesting. It means he is trying to figure out what his next step is. And what do we do? And what do the Europeans do? And as the Secretary said, we're in conversations with them.
Could this in some way backfire on the Russians, as I think probably the shoot down of that Korean airliner by the Soviets did? I mean, world opinion seemed to change after that.
So I think that was, Bob, a turning point in the Cold War, because it really demonstrated to the world what the Soviet Union was all about. I think that this event has the potential to make clear to the world what Putin is all about, that he is a thug and that he is a bully.
I think the one thing about the crime scene part of this that I didn't mention before, Bob, is that that missile launcher's long gone, right? It's not there anymore. And the wreckage has been picked through and cherry-picked to a degree that Mr. Putin can leave the rest of it there and it can't tell us a definitive story. So this has already been corrupted to the point where the physical side of this is even less important than it would have been otherwise.
What can we expect from our side, David?
Well, Mike mentioned increased aid to Ukraine. Right now, the U.S. is providing so-called non-lethal military equipment to the Ukrainian military, and the obvious ramp up would be to start providing them with lethal. But when we asked that question on Friday, the answer was no consideration is being given to providing Ukraine with lethal weaponry that they could use against the Russians or the separatists.
All right, thank you all. We'll be back with 1 minute with a lot more. Face the Nation.